So for the June 2019 fandom feature, I wanted to celebrate the 80th anniversary of The Dark Knight. Yes, I've been doing that pretty much throughout the entire year on this channel, and rightfully so. I'm a massive Batman fan. But if there's one series of films that I know you have all who watch my shows, who know who I am, have been itching for me to talk about, it is Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight Trilogy. Batman Begins from 2005, The Dark Knight from 2008, and The Dark Knight Rises from 2012. Now, I'm actually going to put a link to a review at the end of this video, which was my review for The Dark Knight Rises. It was the only Christopher Nolan Batman film that I reviewed, because it was new, and I was still a relatively new YouTuber. But also, I want to let you guys know that this was a very hard video to record because it was right around the time of the Aurora, Colorado movie theater shooting. I actually had a moment of silence on that video, and the reason why I did that was because The Dark Knight Rises was the movie that was actually being shown to the audience that was victimized by this deranged maniac with a gun. It was a terrible day, it was a terrible feeling, and I also felt that my review was really for more of the memory of these innocent people and less about the movie itself. I still did give it a very strong review. But anyway, The Dark Knight Trilogy is a landmark in filmmaking. Not only did it give us the man, the myth, the legend that is Christopher Nolan, the director that is now one of the most well-known and beloved filmmakers in all of Hollywood. This was the series of films that really made him the household name. Beforehand, he was a name you might have heard of. He got a lot of Oscar buzz because of his revolutionary film Memento starring Guy Pearce, but the Batman trilogy that he decided to make was the series that revolutionized the comic book film industry. Granted, we already did have the X-Men films and the Spider-Man films, but the Dark Knight trilogy was definitely an iconic trilogy. This film series was Batman as we wanted to see return, because we had the Abomination in 1997 that was Batman and Robin, though for some strange reason it's developing a massive cult following now. But this film had an extremely dark tone, it had a laundry list of incredible actors, a powerful score from Hans Zimmer, one of the greatest scores that he ever composed. It is pretty much just as iconic as the Tim Burton score right now, and it wasn't a surprise that he would be continuing to do a couple of DCEU films later down the line. But I want to talk a little bit more about these films as a whole, and not necessarily point out each and every one of them, because I saw all three of them in theaters, and I had an incredible time. First of all, the cast. Guys, I actually had to go into IMDb to make sure that I got all of the famous faces that I could find to show you guys who exactly was in this film and made this trilogy what it was. Not only did you have 4 reoccurring names. You had Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne and Batman. You had Michael Caine as Alfred. You had Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon. And you also had Morgan Freeman as a cult Batman character, Lucius Fox. But listen to the list of other grade A actors that were in this film. You had Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. You had Katie Holmes and Maggie Gyllenhaal playing the female lead Rachel Dawes. We'll get into her a little bit later. We had Cillian Murphy as the Scarecrow. Heath Ledger in his Oscar-winning performance as the Joker, rightfully so, posthumous or not. Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face. Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. Tom Hardy, who was not so known at the time, but now he's a household name, as Bane. Marion Cotillard as Miranda Tate, who has another alias, but just in case you haven't seen these, I'm not going to spoil it for you. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Officer Blake, who also has a very interesting role at the very end of the film. But guys, that's not all. I actually wrote a little bit more to let you guys know, and I wrote it all down because I want you guys to hear everything. Listen to who else is in these movies. Ken Watanabe, Tom Wilkinson, Jack Gleason, you know him as Joffrey from Game of Thrones, Michael Jai White, who played Spawn, Eric Roberts, former 80s heartthrob Anthony Michael Hall, William Fichtner, one of the best character actors in the business today, Matthew Modine from Full Metal Jacket and Stranger Things, Ben Mendelsohn, Aidan Gillen, Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, Juno Temple, and, this is a fact, current sitting senator for the United States, Patrick Leahy. I actually saw him in The Dark Knight, and I said to myself, this guy looks like Patrick Leahy. It is Patrick Leahy. I couldn't believe that they actually got him for this movie. But all of these movies are amazing. They're epic. They're filled with drama, filled with action, a couple of little comedic moments thrown in here and there. The action is stellar, although I will say that Batman played by Ben Affleck in Batman v Superman had a little bit more of the Batman that I wanted, but we still got a fantastic Batman, and I also think we got one of the best Bruce Waynes as well. I love Michael Caine as Alfred in these films because the way that he and Christian Bale play off each other is absolutely perfect. Morgan Freeman has some of the best lines in this film. Gary Oldman, this was the movie that we all needed to see. Even though we already got him playing the good guy in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban the year before, we didn't necessarily see him playing the good guy. And now he finally is known as the true versatile actor who can play the hero and the villain, and he's got an Oscar for that to prove it. I also love the rogues gallery that they picked. I love Cillian Murphy as the Scarecrow. He was so terrifying. Anne Hathaway as Catwoman was such a brilliant choice. A lot of people didn't think she was going to do it, but my God, she filled the boots of Selena Kyle beautifully. I just wish she had a whip. I also loved how they worked on the cat ears, how they actually gave her night vision goggles, and when she puts them up, they looked like cat ears. I thought that was great. I also loved Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face. I thought he did fantastically as Harvey Dent, and he really surprised me as Two-Face. But Heath Ledger, everybody, I was not on that train when he was first announced, but his performance just wowed me. And it was such a shame that this would be the last performance that we would see while he was alive. There was another movie that came out before he passed away, but his performance as the Joker was incredible. He is now up there with all the greats, including Jack Nicholson, Cesar Romero, even the voice of Mark Hamill. He is without a doubt one of the best Jokers, and he was not the kooky, spontaneously funny. He was the dark, scary Joker, one that was so intimidating. He was so scary on screen, you had no idea what he was going to do. The next time I truly got scared by the Joker was Michael Emerson voicing him in the animated film The Dark Knight Returns. But one of the other things that I really appreciated about this film series was the fact that they really paid a lot of tribute to the comics. They pulled from a lot of Batman stories, most of them written by the great Frank Miller. We got The Dark Knight Returns, we got Batman Year One, we got No Man's Land, we got so many great Batman stories woven in this to a certain degree. I think the one that was really represented beautifully was Nightfall, especially when you take a look at the showdown between Batman and Bane. It's absolutely incredible, and it's just amazing how these movies just turned the comic book film into something truly incredible, and now we have the MCU and the DCEU, and we have other comic book films being made almost all the time now. We even have television series like the new Watchmen series on HBO coming. So the comic book film is now without a doubt one of the most praised. Though some people are suffering from hangovers, I still feel that the Dark Knight trilogy is without a doubt some of the best. If there's one thing that I could say that's negative about this film series, I wasn't a fan of the Bat growl. I just didn't like the way that Batman was portrayed based on his voice. It just didn't sound like Batman should. At some points in time, I thought that he developed a lisp. It was just weird. It sounded like he was mumbling. The Bat growl is something that got under a lot of people's skin, but I will not deny the fact that Christian Bale's performance was incredible. I also was not appreciative of the fact that people said, especially Christopher Nolan, that Batman from his world cannot be in the DC world as a whole, so he couldn't fight alongside Superman or Wonder Woman or Aquaman, which is basically why they re-envisioned Batman later on down the line after Man of Steel. But I still feel that it could have been done, because you could have revolved an entire DC universe around that atmosphere. It's not so difficult. You just gotta think about it and give it a little elbow grease. And the additional thing that I truly didn't like about this film was the love story involving Rachel Dawes. It was just something that I didn't necessarily necessarily feel had to be there. Maybe to a certain degree it was good for the origin of Two-Face, but I just didn't care for her character. I didn't really care much about the actors that played Rachel Dawes. I mean, the fact that it had to be played by two women was just a downfall for this character from the get-go. I don't even think she's a character from the comics. Maybe if they would have used Vicky Vale, it would have been better, but the whole love story that they tried to weave into this in regards to Batman being Batman, I just felt was not right and out of place. If you want to see a love story that's better in the world of Batman, I highly recommend you take a look at the animated film from 1993, Batman the Mask of the Phantasm, where he courts a woman named Andrea Beaumont, who is voiced by Dana Delaney, beautifully by the way, and it really is a better love story. But the fact that she was the major driving force about Batman either wanting to be or not be Batman was not a good thing, because it really was more so his parents. And in the film, after his parents are killed, I mean, I don't consider that a spoiler, because that's pretty much the origin story of Batman, and if you don't know the origin story of Batman after 80 years, I don't really know what to say to you. His parents seem to be non-existent and not the true driving force of Bruce Wayne being the Batman and protecting Gotham. But after seeing these films again, especially considering over time I was sort of feeling that they weren't some of the greatest, they really are some of the greatest, not necessarily as Batman films, just as films in general. They're just beautifully written, beautifully produced, and beautifully acted. And that's why the comic book film is what it is today, because now they know that you can truly make great movies with superhero and fantasy elements in them. If you haven't seen these films, you must, because they are absolutely incredible. The grandeur and the spectacle of them all will just win you over instantaneously. Check them out whenever you have a chance. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. That is my thoughts on the Dark Knight trilogy, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about them. So put your comments in the box below, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.